Okay, now let's change gears a little bit and see how to handle an odd number in that middle position. We've got x squared plus 5x. We're going to move the 2 to the right hand side, adding 2 to both sides. There is no coefficient out in front to divide through by, but that 5, when we cut it in half, we do not write it with a decimal 2.5. We do not use a mixed number, 5 and 2.5. We write instead 5 halves. We square that 5 halves, which gives us 25 fourths, which we add into the blank on the line above. And we're also going to add that 25 fourths to the right hand side also. We then insert the x, the parentheses, the quantity squared on the left, and on the right we have to go and add these. This is a 2 over 1, and when you're adding fractions you need a common denominator. So multiplying the denominator by 4 gives us 4, and the numerator by 4 gives us 8. So adding together 8 plus 25, we have 33 fourths. Now we square root each side of the equation. The left side is x plus 5 halves. The right side becomes plus or minus the square root of 33, and the 4 actually square roots to a whole number 2, so notice that only the numerator has the radical on it. And we see on this problem that we've got a common denominator on each side, so when we subtract 5 halves on each side, we can rewrite it all over that common denominator, and we get negative 5 plus or minus root 33 all over 2. Okay, let's do another one where there's an odd number in the center of the problem. We notice it doesn't factor. We then rewrite it with the blank in the middle. There is no leading coefficient to divide off, so we cut the coefficient in front of x in half to give us negative 3 halves. We square that to positive 9 fourths, and we add 9 fourths to the right side of the equation also to keep the balance within the equation. Now it's time to complete the square by putting in the variable, the parentheses, and the exponent. On the right, that 1 I'm going to think of as 4 over 4 because I need a common denominator with that with the 4 over there to add the fractions, and that gives us 13 over 4. We have a quantity squared which needs to be rooted, so we're going to square root each side of the equation. The left side of the equation is going to be x minus 3 halves, and the right side plus or minus root 13, and again the 4 is going to square root to a nice clean 2, which is really nice. So we can add the 3 halves to both sides, have a common denominator on the right, and this can be written as 3 plus or minus root 13 all over 2. Now we change gears a little bit because, as you can see in problem number 6, there is a leading coefficient. So we've got an extra step on this problem. We're going to have 3x squared plus 12x, leave a blank, equals 5. And now that leading coefficient 3 needs to be divided off of each side. So I'm going to distribute the division all the way through on each side of the equation, dividing each side by 3, and we're going to have x squared plus 4x, leave a blank, equals 5 thirds. And now we've got a nice neat 4 on the left, which we can cut in half to 2, square to 4. And if we're adding 4 to the left, we have to add 4 to the right. Since fractions are involved, I'm going to write that as a 4 over 1. Now we can complete the square on the left, putting the x in front of the positive 2, parentheses, quantity squared, x plus 2 squared, equals. On the right, that 4 over 1 needs to be written over 3, and if we multiply the denominator by 3, we need to multiply the numerator by 3 to get 12. Keeping a common denominator of 3, the 5 plus 12 in the numerators make 17. Now we're able to square root each side of the equation. I'm going to slide this up for a little bit. We're going to have x plus 2 equals plus or minus root 17 thirds. This time the 3 did not square root nicely. And we can't have a radical in the denominator, so we need to rationalize the denominator multiplying by root 3 over root 3. So we're going to have x plus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 51 over the square root of 9, which is 3. And I'm going to slide that up again because I'm running out of space. And subtract 2 on each side, we get x equals negative 2 plus or minus root 51 thirds, which is acceptable as a solution, but personally I like this all to be over a common denominator. And so I'm going to rewrite these over 3, treat that as a negative 6 over 3, and now we're going to have all over 3 an optional answer of negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 51. So your choice on which one you want to go with.